This is an Eye on Annapolis bonus podcast.
Well, I can't believe that I am finally here, even though I've been here like 3 or 4 different times, but we're here talking with the village at Providence Point, which was initially born as Crystal Springs Farm and everything else. But we're joined today by Cyndi Walters, who's the National Lutheran Community Services president, who is the, I don't want to say owner of, but the overall arching organization that takes care of the new community. Chill Hotchkiss, who is the director of sales. And we're going to be joined a little bit later by some new residents that are pretty excited. I saw them in the lobby. They're frothing at the mouth because it's finally getting built. And the trucks are moving and the dirt is being dug. And it's just a really exciting time to see this project finally come to fruition. And, Cyndi, thanks again for coming all the way out here to Annapolis, although I imagine you probably enjoy it.
Yes, absolutely.
Can you just really briefly give us an overview of what the village of Providence Point is now at this point? I mean, it is not a senior community, but it is a adult continuing care community?
Yeah, the actual term right now that is used is a life plan community. So it is a life plan community, and the reason it's defined as such is because not only does it offer residences, what we call independent living residences, but it also offers the healthcare component, the health and service component. So it will also have assisted living memory care and the skilled nursing function.
You know, those types of concepts are just so wonderful. Both of my parents were down in Florida, so you guys weren't down that far south, but it was just an absolute wonderful place for them to retire. I know my mom always said, what do you look for? And I'm excited to talk to the future residents to find out what they're most excited about. My mom said, so somebody else could cook. And that was her thing. I don't have to cook anymore.
Absolutely. Well, and I think we're already starting to see that with some of our charter club members, that they're recognizing this is much more than just another place to live, that this is a place where they're making connections, they're finding community, they're learning new things that they had never tried before. And
well, we live in an area that's really prone to that too. We're just such a rich community, and I'll say Anne Arundel County and Annapolis and everything else with the arts that we've got, with the culture that we've got. Certainly, we've got the Chesapeake Bay, and we've got plenty of volunteer opportunities and everything else. Mm-hmm. And to be in a community that really embraces that is a lot. It really is a lot. Now, the road here was long, complicated, and litigious.
To say the least, yes.
That is all behind us now, right? There are no more potential bumps in the road other than, weather, construction delays, and stuff like that.
Yes, John. So we did get through I would say the most challenging aspects of the project itself and of the development. And now that we're working in the construction phase of the project, yes, there could be bumps in the road. And you mentioned one in particular. We saw it 2 weekends ago when we had the snow event, but we actually we didn't miss a beat. We were able to continue to keep the construction moving on time, even with that type of weather. So weather's one for us. The other is, as you all know, there's a lot of environmental conditions that we agreed to be able to have this project approved. So we have periodic monitoring that happens. And if there is anything at all that is discovered or uncovered, we react immediately to ensure that we are keeping within the standards.
Well, I do want to clarify that, though. I mean, you said that you agreed to these environmental conditions. It sounds like you're held hostage in a closet someplace, but you guys actually embraced these.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
There were environmentalists and there were people that were, throwing out, this is what we want. But from the get-go, from 10, 15 years ago, you were a very environmentally conscious. It was just really sort of ironing out the specific details of it as the scope of the project changed.
You're absolutely right. And thank you for the clarification. You were absolutely right. It was really working through the details, working through all the minute details of what we needed to ensure we did to be effective with what we were doing environmentally in that area.
And I do think that conversation was very valuable to everybody to be able to sit there and say, well, because you can turn and say, gosh, I didn't think about that. And let's incorporate that. As opposed to somebody saying, well, okay, well, now I see your point, as opposed to the thing. So it was really unfortunately too long and drawn out, but it was a good exercise. And a great compromise for everybody to come together, because it's going to be a wonderful asset to the community.
Yes, and you were absolutely right in terms of saying it was a compromise, and it was a lot of collaboration with the city and county officials and others who helped to play a part in getting us where we're at today.
Right. Well, as I mentioned, I said I love coming up Forest Drive and seeing some of the dirt on the road, and the little road, Crystal Spring Road, has been paved over for the construction. How long is construction going on? I mean, how many jobs are we bringing in for construction? Do you know?
Yes, so construction will go on this year, next year, and into the early part of 2028. So construction is a longer time period, but it is a larger project, obviously, building that we're putting together here. As far as the number of jobs, so on site at any given time, there can be as many as 75 to 100 different.
Okay.
And now that's all waxes and wanes, you know what I mean, in terms of what period of time you're in. But yes, there are a number of individuals in this area, number of contractors that are.
And I imagine as you get to opening day, there'll probably be thousands on the job, just getting the last little bits, the last trees planted, and the last bushes, and the little touch-up paint and everything else. So
yes, that's exactly.
Exciting. Another thing, Cyndi, that I'd love to touch base with is traffic. And I know the environmentalists got into the whole environmental thing in the drainage and Crab Creek and everything else. Most of the people that weren't too intimately familiar with the project are just immediately going, "Oh my gosh, what about the traffic? It's going to be horrible. Forest Drive is horrible," and everything else. And just a little tip, Forest Drive, if you can hit a light at 40 miles an hour, you will not, and nothing else stops in your way, you can make it all the way out to Route 50 without stopping.
That's good to know.
It is. That's the sweet spot to be able to do it. But as you turn around and look at the traffic, okay, people just don't want to look at what the lifestyle is that's coming here. Well, number one, the amenities that you guys offer, you've got transportation. So if somebody wants to go downtown, somebody wants to go to Maryland Hall to see a show or something like that, there is the ability, certainly because it's independent living, they can drive themselves, they can Uber, they can do anything they want, but they can also use the transportation system that you guys are going to be setting up to take them to the mall or to shop and everything else. Also, this is a retirement type of a community. This is an age-restricted community. So these are not people that are jumping into the 9 to 5 that are getting out there trying to get to the Pentagon by 9 o'clock in the morning and clogging up Forest Drive during the thing. And you do have traffic modifications to turn around to make it wide. And I think, as with everything, I think once it gets done, people will go, "Huh, that wasn't so bad."
And I think that's exactly what we're thinking as well, that it's going to probably take individuals experiencing it to recognize that we are making some modifications to ensure that there is good traffic patterns there at Forest Drive, but also with what we're doing with some of the road systems within the community and the different ways you can ingress and egress through the community. And also, like you said, these individuals, although I don't know exactly what the patterns will be for our residents at Providence Point. What I can say is our experience with other communities that we own is that they do stay away from rush hour traffic, and they're normally not driving at night. So
well, I was going to say, I mean, if you're coming into a retirement community, I mean, I've had my fill of rush hour traffic. I don't need to. I don't need to do that in my retirement.
Right.
So I mean, that is really not an issue. And I know right up the road from where the project is on Forest Drive, right where the CVS at South Cherry Grove, at one point they widened that, and people were like, "Oh, this is just going to be a bottleneck," because they were putting another lane into it, and they squawked about it for years under former county executive Leopold. And unfortunately, there was a telephone pole that sat in the middle of the road for about a year until BG&E moved it. But it was ultimately when it was done, and it really eased a bottleneck. And I know that the traffic intersections were graded, I think, and I could be wrong, but a D or possibly even failing as they are now. Yet with the improvements that are being proposed through the Village of Providence Point, it's not going to make it an A, but it's going to upgrade it a grade. So I think you're going to find that traffic is not an issue for those that are listening that are going, "But the traffic." So,
thank you for saying that.
Well, I tell you, this is exciting. I mean, what are your thoughts now that we're in I don't want to say the final stretch because we've got a couple more years for that, but that were done? I mean, it's got to be a relief to you and to NLCS for this.
Yes, of course, as you know, I wouldn't say that the work has stopped, because the work is probably even greater now with everything that we're doing in the construction phase, but at least we're doing what we've always intended to do, and we're not working on extraneous types of things that are stumbling blocks and things that were the challenges that we had in the years past. Yeah.
And I do also want to mention that this is a great use of the land. That land was zoned a couple different ways throughout its lifestyle. And quite honestly, we could be looking at a Best Buy, a Home Depot, and a Dick's Sporting Goods. There were approved plans for something like 700 single-family homes and like 1,200 townhomes or something like this at one point. And the owner of the land, Janet Richardson Pearson, had the foresight, selfishly so, to sit there and say, hey, I would like to remain here and this and that, and this makes sense. Preserve the land. It's, a beautiful location right there on Crab Creek, convenient. Who doesn't want to live in Annapolis? And, she had the foresight to be able to do that. And I mean, we put plenty of land in for preservation, into easements. And I mean, Village of Providence Point is not building huge towers and expanding and everything else in the future. I mean, what we get when this opens up and, and fully built out with what it is right now, I mean, that's it.
That's correct. Yes. Once we do that, she has over 100 acres that are in that Conservancy Trust. I don't know the exact 125, I believe it is, something like that. So yes, I mean, if you think about the best possible outcome compared to what some of the alternatives could have been for the city, I think that people will start to recognize this turned out to be a pretty
certainly. And the folks that were screaming, well, we want it to be preserved. Well, let's be real. People have the right to sell their properties. They have the right to do with what they want with their properties. And the city, the county, well, it was the city at this point, didn't certainly have, they could have stepped in and said, okay, well, we'll give you the money. But at this point, this was a much better use of the property. And as we look, I mean, we're all not getting any younger and stuff like that. So it's certainly a needed type of a community that we've got.
Well, and I think too, as well, when you start to look at the individuals who'll be moving into the Village of Providence Point, individuals who have been longtime Annapolitans, but also individuals who are coming from all around the country, you're bringing in individuals who are also very passionate, very philanthropic, very much want to do for the local area, very much want to be involved in the cultural aspects of what Annapolis brings. So there's a lot to be gained by those moving in as well.
It's a really great relationship. It truly is. Well, I'll tell you, I would like to sit down and talk with Chill Hotchkiss, who is the sales director for the Village of Providence Point, because you are the point man, I guess, if you will, for all the folks that are moving in. And I guess you're the guy that has the answer to all the questions. Is that a legitimate?
Sometimes I think that's the expectation, and a lot of times that is not quite correct, but I certainly try. And
just roll with it.
I certainly have a great team of my NLCS folks. When I don't have those answers, John, I can go get those answers. So it's a rewarding job. It's a stressful job, but I can tell you right now, I am so excited. We've had this long haul, and it was like a roller coaster ride. We started years ago with what we call an expression of interest campaign, where we had all these people that had heard about Crystal Spring, and they were curious to see what that was going to become. A lot of opposition to Crystal Spring. It was actually called Crystal Spring Annapolis, but we still had an expression of interest of people who wanted to even live there. And through that, people kept coming around. We kept having informational sessions to tell them all about that. And so we were building up to that. And then when Crystal Spring, Annapolis, all fell apart or came apart, it was like we were down at the bottom again and had to rebuild all the interest, all the excitement. And so over the last couple of years, especially since we have actually been, folks have been coming in, making reservations to move to Providence Point, to live at Providence Point, that roller coaster has continued its climb. And there were times where we'd be up a little bit, and then we'd get a notice from the appellate court that we still couldn't shake Crab
It's like
Creek.
when we all normally get like jury duty notices, right? It's like, oh man.
Exactly right. So we go back down, not all the way to the bottom trough again, but down a little bit, and then the excitement would start to build. Each time we had a win in the court system, the excitement would start to grow, and it really crescendoed in August of 25 when the Supreme Court refused to hear the final appeal, and we got the go-ahead. And ever since then, finally people realized that Providence Point is for real. It's going to happen. The construction is going to start. And since that time, we have climbed this hill, and we're still climbing. I think we'll start down when probably the last year before move-in, when everything is so fast and furious, and everybody has to make sure they're packed up and ready to go. And so that will be quite the thrill ride as we get into the actual move-in phase, whether that's 6 months out or 9 months out or even a year out. But I do want to say that along this ride with me have been these fabulous, we call them now charter club members. Some of those people were $1,000 depositors in that expression of interest campaign that we did, and they have made the long haul with us. And so my heart goes out to all those people that have hung in there, that have gone on this journey together, not just with us, but together with other charter club members, and it's a very exciting time.
It really is. And if my memory serves me right, which it may or may not, to build this, you talked about an expression of interest that before the state would even grant you the right to move forward to build a continuing care type of a community, you had to have so much interest to take the next step, and then you had to have so many deposits to take. Was that correct?
That is correct. And we use that expression of interest campaign to jump into the real criteria, which we had to achieve. We have 246 apartments and cottages in our initial offering, and we had to get reservations, make reservations. They're not really sales. They are reservations and deposits on 65% of that 246. Okay. And that equaled 160, 10% deposits, which we did achieve. And again, that was a major milestone when we hit that 160. We're way above that now. We're approaching 200 reservations already of those 246. By the end of 2026, we fully expect to be 90% reserved. Right now, we're just hovering around 80% of the whole campus has been reserved.
Well, how large is the whole campus now?
Well, 28 acres. I believe, if my math is correct, I believe that National Lutheran purchased 53 acres from Janet Richardson Pearson. And of that 53 acres, 28 acres is actually under construction.
Okay.
And that's where
And how many units are going to be there?
246.
Is that the final number?
Well, there is a possibility if the market says that we do have plans to, it's already been approved, it's already been submitted, but some Maison Court buildings that they will be brought into the offering, but that's all part of the everything that's been approved so far. So that will add, I believe it's 56 apartments to the 216 that are there now.
Well, again, the beauty is that you've got a number of different options for different people, which is really nice. And I will say that for those that are thinking about this, whether it's for themselves, for a relative or something like that, you've got as much as you possibly can at 1997 Annapolis Exchange. I think it's Annapolis Exchange Parkway, just across from the mall. There is a sample apartment.
There is.
Here up on the third floor to, come out and you can actually see what this is going to look like. It's not, obviously it's not where it's ultimately going to be, and it's as much as you can do in an office building, but it's a great idea to be able to come in and see, the qualities, see the people, meet the people. I happened to notice when I was walking in here and you were greeting some of the future residents, and it wasn't oh, hi, Mr. and Mrs. Hi. So, no, it was an embrace. You were greeting your friends that were coming in, which I think really sort of stuck with me.
Right. Well, and not only me, my staff, our NLCS partners, we're all friends. I think the charter club members, I think Cyndi said earlier, they've become friends with each other. They are definitely have become friends with us as a staff. So it really is it's a family effort going forward here.
Sure. Now, let's talk a little bit. I don't want to talk numbers, but this is and I'll call it a return on investment type of a thing that, there's a fee to come in, and then when you move out or, when you pass on, that it comes back to your estate.
That is correct.
Is that okay?
And not only that, but if someone were to leave, and there are all kinds of reasons that people might move to Providence Point and then at some point in time leave the community.
Sure.
I'll give you a perfect example. Sometime I will get either a personal visit or a phone call at my desk, and they'll say, Chill, we love Providence Point. However, our children just got transferred to Atlanta, and we're going to go with them. So at that point in time, they would get their return on investment at the same time. And here, we have whatever entrance fee someone pays currently, there's a 75% return.
Okay.
So when they would leave, whether it was for some other reason than staying here for the rest of all time, they would get that to take with them.
It's a great estate planning tool. Mm-hmm. To be able to do something like that, to be able to.
And we actually have a lot of our folks do have personal estate planners, wealth managers, people like that. And so we talk to a lot of those people, and those professionals are very complimentary of our setup.
Team effort.
It is.
It truly is. So what are the popular ones that are going? I mean, you're the director of sales here. I mean, what's everybody interested in of your charter members that are coming in here that are?
Well, from the very beginning, from the first day, everybody just absolutely thought they had to have one of these beautiful cottages. And by the way, we have 30 cottages. The city of Annapolis, we had a real tough time simply because of the conservation, the tree, taking down trees to build buildings. So they really were, that restricted us on the number of cottages that we could have. I think we started out with 48. We asked for 48, and we thought we might get 48 cottages. Sometime during the Planning Commission hearings, it got cut down to 38. And then just at the last minute, they said, not 38, we'll let you have 30, and that's going to do it. So anyhow, that is a fair number. A fairly small number of cottages that were available, because they are attractive to people. People who have lived in single-family homes for years have a misconception that they can't live in an apartment, that they say, I've got to make that transition from my home to a cottage and then to an apartment. But in reality, I think a lot of people, once they think through it, say, you know what, that apartment will do me just fine. And so cottages went quickly. We had some of our larger sized apartments went quickly, corner apartments. But when somebody comes in here and they look to see what's available, they say, gosh, all the good things are gone. And I say, you're mistaken. All the good things are still left. And so we have plenty of things on floors 1, 2, 3, and 4 with beautiful views, with great locations. So still a lot of good things to reserve.
My mom's community was set up similar in Florida, and they had some independent cottages. And I know that the benefit was like when it was raining, you could get into the dining room because she never wanted to cook for herself without going out into the rain or having to drive or anything like that, which is really nice. So, I mean, this is really exciting. When is the sales center? Are you going to be building a sample? Cottage or a sample apartment?
We won't. When that building opens, will be the first time that we're actually in a real apartment. We'll have this. And by the way, I am very thankful for this apartment, the sample model apartment that we have, because we call these, John, when a community is brand new, we refer to it as a blue sky community, and how sales or reservations really rely on us, the sales team, to paint the picture, paint the dream. And we can do that, but it sure helps to have this office space, that decorated model, that selections gallery that's down the hall, Any little thing like that helps. And by the way, it even helps to have that piece of land under construction. At this point now, we can get people in our vehicles, take them down there and show them, and it's just awe-inspiring.
Do you have a live stream camera yet?
We don't. I would love to have one. We are doing some aerial photography, some drone photography, and that's exciting, too, to see the changes each week.
Even more exciting, they don't have to hire a helicopter to do it.
That's right. That's exactly
Back
right.
in the old days. Well, it's funny that you said, your job as an artist, you're painting the dream for the folks that are coming in here. And we're fortunate enough this morning to have 3 residents. I don't know whether we call them future residents or residents, but that are pretty excited about you and everybody here at NLCS painting the dream for them. And, thank you for your efforts. And certainly, Cyndi, thank you for, bringing this over the finish line, if you will, or bringing it to the gate, I guess, at this point. Okay. We haven't gone to I'm excited really to find out the why from the folks that are going to be living here and be joining the community in a very short time.
Mm-hmm. Well, great. And John, before I sign off, I would like to say that in this beautiful office space that we have just about outgrown it. We have almost 300 charter club members now. And we used to do, and we still do, a lot of entertaining in this office space. We typically have 2 happy hours per month where charter club members come and get to know each other and socialize. So this past, I think it was February the 17th, we had a happy hour, and it was too big to have here. We had almost 150 people over at Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium in one of the big banquet rooms because we can't house our charter club members anymore.
That's fantastic. So, you get the folks that it's not just a thanks for your deposit, we'll call you in a year when it's built. And, the relationships that are founded that you're facilitating here are going to last people a lifetime. You're going to be in this community with folks that maybe maybe you don't know. Maybe, I always love meeting somebody that has a different background, a different, maybe it's political, maybe it's, social, maybe it's so fascinating to be able to do that. And I know that as I get older, as much as I hated going to school as a kid, and, through college, I was over it. I thrive on learning. Mm-hmm. I thrive on curiosity, and this really sort of facilitates the ability to be able to do something like that. So, hey, what's your name? What's your deal? What's your background? And when the doors finally open up and the gates open up and Village of Providence Point is open, there's a built-in community. There's a built-in friendship. There's people that are going to be sailing together. There's people that are going to be shopping together, which is just wonderful. And I think, the community of Anne Arundel County and Annapolis certainly lends itself to that. We bat way out of our league, I think, as far as the arts go. To be able to have, 3 symphonies and, the ballet and the opera and everything else that's here. So exciting times.
It is. We're very excited.
I'll tell you right now, we're going to be talking with 3 residents of the Village at Providence Point, and I'm trying to figure out who's more excited about this project coming to fruition, whether it's me, whether it's NLCS, or it's these 3 people that are sitting around the table with me. We're talking with Ilsa and Phil Reynolds and Carol Binnix, who are local residents here in Annapolis that are going to be moving in a couple of years, I guess. So thank you guys very much for coming in. And I guess my question for each of you is, why Providence Point, Carol?
I can say in basically 3 things. My mother, my 3 sons and all my grandchildren, and the community that I have grown to love. The greater Annapolis area. I've been here since 76, and I'd like to just stay. It's right near my neighborhood, which I absolutely love. So I'll be able to continue to see some of the friends I've made there, like Phil and Hills. I've known Canary since the early 80s.
Right.
So that's why. My mother had a stroke, and then my father died. They lived in Garrett County. I was one of 4 kids, only girl, only one in Maryland. By default, her oversight fell to me. So 4 years, 4 different nursing homes, learning as I was going. I thought there's got to be a better way than this. And when we first heard of Crystal Spring, my first 2 connections with Crystal Springs, we were very adamant about not giving them. We wouldn't give them our name. We wouldn't give them our anything because we didn't want all the advertising. My first contact of record is in 2012.
Well, that's a testament to tenacity there. 2012, here we are, 15 years later.
Yeah. So we're only going to be moving as the crow flies, roughly a mile and a half from our current homes.
That's wonderful.
So, my church, my hairdresser, my doctors, my
all stays
connections,
the same.
All stay the same.
That's great. Well, Phil and Ilsa, thank you. You guys are originally from, I understand before we talked, you were from New York, most recently, I guess?
Yes.
What brought you to Annapolis and I guess to Providence Point?
Well, like most of the people that we have met here, they moved to Annapolis because they have either children or grandchildren mostly. So that was one of our reasons. We retired in Westchester County and then came down here 15 years ago because our grandson, the only one that we have, lives down here.
And stayed.
And we stayed, and we love it.
Yeah. So I'd like to echo what Carol said about, kind of being, relieving our kids of that burden. But for me, what's interesting, my wife insists that I get out of the house, out of her house, quite often. And so I'm involved in the International Club of Annapolis, and I'm a mediator in town, have a fairly active life, and so do many of the people who are charter club members. So this is not a old people's retirement home so much as a base for a lot of activities.
Well, everybody does have the communal connection of some sort. And I'm getting to retirement age. I'm like hanging on to not doing it. But to be able to get it, and you look at retirement, I know when my father retired, it doesn't look anything like retirement today. And, we've got adults that remain active and, engaged and, going much, much later in life. And that's just such a gift to any community to have, as opposed to the old way. It was like, okay, well, you're 65, let's get the walker and let's go, we'll put you into the nursing home, and that's how it works. And that was just a real horrible way to do things. But when you get a community like the Village at Providence Point, there's just so much there for you. You've got plenty of amenities and everything else. I imagine, and I may be speaking out of turn, but if you're into bridge, I'm sure there's like a bridge group. And if there's a swimming group that'll take you to the Arundel, well, they probably have a swimming pool, but the Arundel Swim Center or wherever it may be, that's the beauty of it, because you don't have to, and as you said, Carol, you don't have to give up you guys living in town, you don't have to give up your doctor and your dentist and your, all your churches and the communities that you're involved with.
And the communities that we're starting to build within Providence Point have been absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, Carol and I are in a book club, and you mentioned that it's interesting to have different perspectives. They have people from around the country is coming, and so we'll read the same book, and you get 20 different perspectives on it.
It's fabulous.
You didn't even think it was really fun.
It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. That's great. And Ilse and I are in the bridge club, and a friend of mine is in the woodworking club, and so a lot of common interests, and then maybe things that you didn't even think you were interested in.
How important was it that you were able to meet folks that are in the charter club?
Very important. If you were ever hesitant before you make that big step, to decide that you're going to go to a retirement community, and everybody says to you, "Oh my God, we'll never see you again. You're going to be inmates." No, we are residents. And if you you discuss it, you decide this is the way for you to go, but then you say, "Oh my God, did I do the right decision?" And there, I cannot thank enough the team with Chill and Allison and Michelle that held our hands. Anytime we have a question, we feel we can come anytime and ask them or check something with them. We had these little community events, happy hours, and you meet other people and you say, it's not so bad. This is exciting. This is all new. And you don't stay in your rut. You may actually actually experience a new style of life and make new friends, which is always difficult when you come new to a community. And this is much more easy when it's all there for you laid out and you have the support system.
You know, Ilse, as you said that, I was just thinking about like when you move a house when you're younger or something, like you move into a neighborhood, you don't necessarily know what it's all about. You could be that jerk neighbor, or maybe the neighbor next to you could be the jerk neighbor. You may not get along with your neighbor, but here you've got an opportunity to build that neighborhood. Granted, it's on the third floor of the Annapolis Exchange building, but at this point, but you've got that ability to find those connections that are going to be with you, you know, for a long time.
John, you know what comes to mind is when I was a college student in the 60s, and you went to Bermuda for a vacation. Everybody was on vacation. Everybody was talking to everybody. Everybody was open, and nobody excluded you. It's kind of like being a college kid in the 60s, to come into here and have that wonderful experience of being, not holding back or whatever, just meeting people and be on their own terms. So I think another thing that Ilse was prompting me to mention is that, you know, we looked after, like Carol did, our parents, and they died at 97 in their home. We're here in Annapolis. My brother's in California. My sister's in Pennsylvania. And we had to run their house remotely. And it was a really difficult thing. So we think of moving into Providence Point as one of the biggest gifts that we can give our kids.
I see that. I mean, my mother, you know, she's passed away, but she developed Alzheimer's and a similar type of a community that, you know, she was able to stay there. And they had the care to be able to take that, you know, should, you know, from the minor thing, you fall and you break a hip. Okay, well, we can put you into you know, what essentially is a nursing rehab section for a little bit and get the therapy and everything else to come in there, as well as, you know, if you need in memory care.
And an additional experience we've had, that when we went to see my husband's mom and dad, we were working. You know, can you fix this? Can you do that? We had to make sure the nurses were all right. So it was fun, but it was also work. And I hope that when our children visit us, we can have fun together. We don't have to worry about, is your food, are you eating all right? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? Do you need to change the light bulbs? This is all taken care of. And it's not a burden to the kids, and the visits should be joyful and nice.
That's huge. Yeah. That's really got to be huge there. What are you most looking forward to as you guys get ready to move in?
Not cooking.
See, you need to have my mother.
I mean, I can't tell you the number of people who say that they can't wait to and not have to cook. And I happen to be a widow, so I'm by myself, which is infinitely worse than when my husband was still alive, which he was when we first started this. And then the community, the people that I've already met that I'm hoping are becoming dear, dear friends. It's just, I can't say how much that has meant to me. And it was always making new friends has always been very, very difficult for me. So it was a big step to raise my hand and say, I'm joining the book club. I'm joining the Zoom club. I'm in for this event. I want to do this event because I love meeting the people, and the stories are just absolutely fascinating.
Well, everybody has their own different story, their own different background, and you can learn so much from it. But you talk about the different events, the Zoom club, the book club, and everything else. But again, this is just the ability to open up your mind to everything, to be able to sit there and say, well, gosh, I'm not really into that whole book club thing, but, let me give it a shot and see what it's about. You've got the opportunity to do that. I mean, Phil, you mentioned they've got woodworking, somebody that's into the woodworking thing and everything else. So, I mean, that's just, you guys ought to open this up to like teenagers or something like that to be able to let them come in. But I mean, the ability to develop the internal community as well as have the external community, at your beck and call is, just wonderful.
I got my first lesson in retirement community living from a friend of Philip's mother. She lived to be 107. She moved to be in a retirement community in Syracuse, New York, at age 90. And she was a smart lady, nothing wrong with her mind to the end of her days. And when we visited at Easter and she came to dinner with us, and I said, Hilda, how is it in the retirement community? Do you always eat dinner with your friends? Because, she knew most people from Syracuse. She said, oh no, it is what you make it. Twice a week I eat with my friends. And the other 3 days I ask Andre, the Metro D, said, Andre, seat me with some people that you think I would be interested in meeting. He said, you need to go out of yourself, you need to make the effort, and you have a wonderful life if you do.
So true on that. I know my aunt was notorious for dinner parties, and she would take couples and totally split them apart. So, Phil, you could never sit next to Ilse at one of my aunt's dinner parties. You'd be sitting next to somebody, and you'd be forced to talk to Carol, whom you may not have met, and learn a little bit about each other, which really sort of facilitates everything.
So, John, you speak about this as two different stages, out of Providence Point and in Providence Point. And I think it's more of a transition. I think we're halfway there in terms of knowing the people, and that's going to make it all that much easier.
Yeah, just the roads and the apartments need to be, finished up there and get the kitchens working.
The infrastructure, but the software is already going here.
True. How did as you are aging, did you look at other facilities and other, communities?
We've had a lot of free lunches around the community, sure.
Sort of like the financial planners, it's like, come on out to Ruth's Chris.
Right, exactly.
Another advantage is it's a new facility, and we are all moving in at the same time, having already formed a little community. So this is, it's exciting.
Mm-hmm. How did it rise to the top?
Well, first of all, for me, particularly the actual location. And then when we moved to Annapolis, Ginger Cove was already there when I ever realized that I've never actually been in the building. However, I've been to the property a bunch of times, and I've known a bunch of people who live there. And the lack of parking, it sounds silly, but the lack of parking.
Spoken like a true Annapolitan.
And, I didn't like the architecture. I didn't like the looks of the building. And I've actually been to Baywoods, the other life care, and I've been in two of the different units. One of them I loved, and it was the smaller of the two because, and this won't shock anybody, it had so many windows. And that's why I'm in a cottage, because as I get older, the house I'm in now has windows on only two walls. It drives me absolutely bonkers. I want windows everywhere. I just want light, and more light.
Yeah, that's all important stuff, though.
And I like the idea that I have to make myself walk if I'm going to go have dinner in the dining hall, because movement is the key to longevity. The more you move, the more you can move. So that's not going to bother me. And I'm looking forward to the swimming pool. I'm going to get involved with the library, I hope. I want there to be some type of a history club. I'm just interested in a lot of different things.
Well, I'm just kind of curious. Again, you've got different backgrounds that come all together in this one community, and I'll sort of put you all on the spot. What was your career? What were you prior to?
Well,
and my hope is that it's going to be very different between Phil and Ilse.
It's vastly different. It's vastly different. I've always wished that I had the gumption to say that I was the CFO of a small philanthropic organization whose goal was to produce young men who were good citizens. That's a fancy way of saying I was a homemaker all my life.
Okay.
And I worked part-time for 20-some years because my kids and running the house came first.
Sure.
And my husband worked very hard, and he was very involved in a lot of community things. The Oyster Recovery Partnership, the Boy Scouts of America, waste management, just on and on and on.
Well, I mean, that's, okay, so you were a stay-at-home mom as a, which is the worst paid and most valuable job in in the world.
Yep.
And where does your background come from, Phil?
Well, I grew up in Syracuse and went to college, went to the Peace Corps, came back and graduate school and joined the UN. Worked in New York for the highest level Soviet communist Russian in the UN in New York. Great relationship, great friendship, and never talked politics, economics, or religion. And then we were shifted to Vienna. And I met my beautiful wife in Vienna and created a new organization called the UN Industrial Development Organization, 40 of us. And then I got bored and drove my Volkswagen with my wife and kid to Baghdad, Iraq. And we're there for 4 years in Pakistan, and 3.5 years in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. And then moved back to New York, where we dealt with things like electoral assistance and helped countries hold their first elections in the early 90s.
Well, I'm not sure that we could get any more diverse than what we have here. And you guys met, you said, in Vienna?
Yeah, it was sort of an arranged marriage. I met his father and mother in Montreal in Expo 67, where I went from Vienna to represent Austria in a pavilion. Before that, I had become a French interpreter and teacher, but never really did much with it. Went to Montreal and met his parents, and Philip had just moved to Vienna, and so his father wrote me a letter, thank you for the information of Vienna, and in case you have lost my son's address, here it is.
He was a salesman.
Just like Chill.
Yes, Chill listening, taking notes over here.
And then I probably had 6 or 7 jobs in my life, so I had to reinvent myself a lot. And I worked in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Then overseas, I worked as a librarian. I worked as a 5th grade teacher for a minute. Whatever they needed, I was able to fit into that role and do it.
I'm just sort of fascinated, all the places that you've lived. Do you have any one that you consider home?
Probably not home.
No, but
we had great adventures in Tanzania. I think that was great. My boys and I climbed Kilimanjaro, and we saw the wildlife, and it was pretty exciting.
Every place had its specialty that made it challenging, difficult, or exciting and nice. But basically, for me now, it's America.
Right. How did Providence Point rise to the top of your list?
Ironically, because it would take so long to move in. I was enjoying my acre lawn and doing everything, so this was giving me a little longer time to transition. And I guess the other thing is that given that delay and the start that we're in at the starting point, most people are going to walk in to Providence Point. They're not going to be wheeled in. And so we have a class of, 2028 that's coming in, and we're all pretty vibrant.
Phil's the planner. He's like, okay, I'm not looking for now. I'm looking for down the road. That's awesome. Well, I think you guys have made a tremendous choice. I think, as I learn a little bit more from Chill and from Cyndi of what they're doing to facilitate this. I mean, yes, there's bricks, there's mortar, there's asphalt and trees and all that kind of stuff. And that builds a neighborhood, but it doesn't build a community. And then that's the other half of this is really turning around. And I mean, granted, I know you guys said you were neighbors right now, but you're meeting plenty of new people that are coming in that are going to be your neighbors, in a couple of years. You're going to hit the ground running, knowing exactly what they're into. Are they into sailing? Are they into, I had a friend of mine that had a Mazda Miata with convertible, and he was with a group that they all went on weekends and put the tops down and went on little poker runs with their Mazda Miatas. So all of that coming in here, which is just really what a relief to you, to any of your children. And that's something that none of us have had younger in life. I mean, we don't know what the neighborhood is we're moving into necessarily. We don't know, you buy a house and you don't know that it's got radon or something leaks or something like that, and then that's on you. Here, you probably push a couple numbers on the phone, if they have phones here. I mean, we're in a different, but Maybe it's all Alexa. You just say, Alexa, go change my light bulb, whatever it is. But it's all taken care of for you, which really is a relief for you. I mean, you see the commercials on TV where the husband's up there getting the leaves out of the gutter, and she's like, "You're gonna fall." So that's none of the concern anymore.
There's one thing I will add about why it came to the top. As I understand it, I'm not 100% about Ginger Cove, but I do know at Baywoods, the residents own their unit to a certain degree. As I understand it, it's a type of co-op. I have zero interest in owning anything. I've been a widow for 11 years and having to manage all of that, and all of my neighbors can testify. Phil, Sam, Bill, his son Jim,
repairing the garage door,
having to come because none of my kids all work full time, and I get stuck.
Much easier to turn around and pick up the phone and
call and chill. When the fire, a perfect example is the fire alarm deciding that's when it's going off. It's at 2 a.m. in the morning. It's beeping at me. And I'm trying to find a ladder to get up to turn the blankety-blank thing off in the middle of the night on a ladder, which I have no business being on anymore. So
it's just a wonderful way to do it. And I congratulate you on a good decision, all three of you. And I can't wait to see what it looks like in a couple of years. And hopefully, if Cyndi and Chill would invite me back and you guys would be willing to indulge me, I would love to sit there and talk with you when they finally give you the key to the front door. Or maybe the code. I don't think. Are we going keys or are we going codes, Chill?
Probably codes.
Okay. Eye recognition.
Facial.
But I want to thank you guys so much for coming out this morning. Thank you for sticking in there and supporting this community that personally I feel is long coming. It's a great use of the land. It's a great use of what we need because, we are all getting older. We all love where we are. And, it's a great option for many people to be able to come in. Anybody that is interested in this, you can come up to visit their sales center. It's at 1997 Annapolis Exchange, which is that 4 or 5 story building across from the mall. It's just sort of behind Trader Joe's. Or you can go to thevillageatprovidencepoint.org, and that's all spelled out, very simple. And, as you drive down Spa Road, I guess it's south of Forest Drive, or Forest Drive, you can really see the construction starting to happen. A lot of it's still behind the trees at this point, and it will still remain behind the trees. It's going to be isolated from Forest Drive, but take a look at that again, thevillageatprovidencepoint.org, or call up and make an appointment to come and check it out. It's really a beautiful community. I look at the mural on the wall, it says "Dream, Explore, and Discover." And you really they give them the opportunities for people to do that here in Annapolis because there is a lot to dream about, a lot to explore, and a lot to discover in our area.
This has been a bonus podcast from Eye on Annapolis. Please visit us at eyeonannapolis.net. Follow us on Facebook at All Annapolis and on Twitter at Eye on Annapolis. And if you haven't subscribed to the Daily News Brief podcast, go for it. And all of your local news will be delivered to your phone, tablet, or smart device by 6 a.m. every Monday through Friday.